I'm going to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail Terok. Oh, that's all I'm saying.
Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls. I don't doubt it.
Y'all remember the shifty waitresses. Have a mighty fine night.
You come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. Here to make war, we surrender. False good, important things are needed new people.
When the appointed hour arrives, the Marauders will deactivate their cloaking devices and begin transporting Klingon shock troops directly to the landing zone.
Landing zone? Where? Tell me.
Why not? Your feeble weapons will be useless against us. We will kill all your males and take your females to mate with.
All right. Now the Federation's taking over, whether you like it or not. You people, you've been running this planet like a piecework thing. From now on, it's going to be under one roof. You're going to run it like a business. That means you're going to make a profit.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall word, proudly saying, "We the people."
Hi, I'm Nicole DeBoer. I played Lieutenant Ezri Dax on DS9, and I welcome you to Bird O' Prey 5 channel. Hail Karoga.
Hello world, it's Bird O' Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to Deep Space Nine Wednesday for August 25th, 2021. And thank you, John Araki, for the $1 super chat, which triggered kissing, Dax. What a way to start the day. Wow. If that is not a sign from the prophets that today's stream will be loving and prosperous, I don't know what is. Booyah. Yeah, jackpot on the first nickel in the machine. Damn, John Araki. Today's your day to play the lottery. It's all our days to play the lottery. Anyway, at 2:51 p.m. Eastern, not Ryan Johnson put in the chat hashtag late. I don't know if he was first in the chat or not, as I unfortunately had the chat closed this entire time and only opened it a few minutes ago. So more than likely a lot of chat was lost. Richie Poole says, hello world. Welcome, Richie. Carlo Albanese says, does the tip of the Defiant count whilst docking? The tip always counts, Carlo. And he says, this is a great episode. It is. And so is next week's episode in the cards. It's a fun episode next week, a weird episode, but a fun episode. The episode where Jake and Nog try to buy the baseball card for Captain Sisko to make him feel better. And if you remember what happens in that episode, it's maybe not the same as this episode, but a fun episode coming up next week in the cards. Today is Empok Nor, Season 5, Episode 24, original air date of May 19th, 1997. Wow. John Araki says, Dear Bop, how much deer could a deer bop bop if a deer bop could bop deers? Thanks, Joseph Biden. I would say a deer bop would bop about 12 bops if a deer bop could bop bop. Richie Poole says, yes, it does, Carlo. The tip always counts. Absolutely. Richie understands. He's a disciple. John Araki says, do you tip the ring or the pylon? Everything. Carlos says it's always the ring piece. That's true. The Defiant docks to the ring. Richie Poole says, funny how the Defiant doesn't have a docking port in its nose. Yet that's where she docks with the station. Don't worry about the ports, Richie Poole. They'll work. Carlo Albanese says, have you ever been so stoned that you just looked at the warp core for an hour or two? Not stoned, Carlo, but concentrate hard. Richie Poole says he watched warp drive never breaches. If only that were true. Carlo Albanese says, I thought that was the front, but it bends down. Carlos is very true. Carlos says, the warp core on the Enterprise D was dangerous. It was always blowing up. Yeah, which means somebody should always have been looking at it. John Araki says, seemed like Voyager rejected theirs a lot. Carlos says, dear Bob, I love this episode. O'Brien's slow change from an engineer to a badass engineer was just perfect. John Araki says, this was a sick episode. Do you smell something in here, Mama Pray? So, cinnamon. Yes, cinnamon. Mama Pray had cinnamon toast. Carlo Albanese says, Karogate Soldier 68 reporting for duty, sir. Wait, where is everyone else? Am I early? Am I in the wrong place? Am I late? So many questions, so little answers. You're a little early for the do. Dan23 says, I just seen on Twitter that Star Trek magazine is to be called Star Trek Explorer from November. Whatever. There's still a Star Trek magazine. And Dan says, yes, got stabbed with an engineering tool in this episode. Carl says, that's not even a coil spanner. And drugs are bad when they're made to be bad. Eastland Burkhalter says, as politely as I know how to say this, Mama Pray said I could sit on a virtual couch. I will share my buttery virtual popcorn and no one in my way. Ha ha ha, teasing. Carlo says, Berta Pray, thanks for letting us chill on the couch for DS9 Wednesday. As always, we'll clean up when we leave so Mama Pray doesn't have to. Thank you, Carlo. Mama Pray also says thank you. And for those who don't know, if you're new here, if you want to watch today's episode, Empok Nor, head over, and you're watching this live as I stream this, head over to the Berto Pray 5 screening room. The address is at the bottom of the video, bertopray5.com/SR. Open it in a new tab or a new web browser or on a completely different device if you've got mobile. Leave the YouTube window open so you can hear the commentary. And in the screening room, you'll be able to watch my copy of the episode as if you were watching here in my living room with me. But once the stream is over, that video goes goodbye. And then you'll need your own copy, which you might have your own copy on DVD, or you might have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, or Hulu, all of which have Star Trek Deep Space Nine streaming available. And there are other platforms that may have it too. Eastland Burkhalter says, I like Jacob's Ladder movie. There was a bad drug in that movie, Carlo. Others, did you like that movie? I've never seen Jacob's Ladder. Carlos says, so many runs on that ladder, it's too high. What? I don't know that I certainly didn't see it. And Carlos says, sorry, it was a good film. Richie Poole says, well, it's back to work to me, so goodbye, world. Have lots of fun without me. I'm so sorry, Richie. Carlos says, have a good day at work. John Araki says, goodbye, Afghanistan or world. Carlos says, if there isn't a DS9 Wednesday, then is it even a Wednesday? It's a good question. John Araki says, woke Wednesday, hashtag free Maria. 47 Yorktown says, hello, young sir. Hello, 47. Carlos says, oh my God, what do you mean that there's no Earl Grey tea on Deep Space Nine? Cisco purged it of the systems. He didn't want Picard to feel at home on the station. Carlos says, hi, hope everyone's as well as can be. And hail Karoga. Thank you, Carlo. John Araki says, Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Oh, Candyman. Who's Candyman? The Random Menace is greetings from the future, where Empok Nor already played. You cheated. You cheated, Random Menace. Carlos says, we, the people, demand do. Well, you'll get it, I think. Mike Richards is greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Greetings, Mike Richards. Dan has hello. Welcome, Dan. John Araki says, booyah, because he hit the big shot. Powerball tonight, says John Araki. Greetings, everyone, says John DeMarco. Watch out for the soulless minions of orthodoxy. Those will be coming next week. Random Menace says, I am not a Biden. Hashtag not your president. Mike Richards' bird is bopping deer's venison for everybody. The Catman, a.k.a. D.D. Myers, is bird of prey Qapla. How are you and the family doing? We're doing okay, D.D. Carlos says, imagine. What did he say? Imagine if your job was to look at the warp core all day, which would be better, the D Enterprise DE, Defiant, or Voyagers? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Probably the D. It's just the lights. I don't know. I think the D, those lights just going one after the other, would be most interesting. What do we got? Carlo says, great explanation. Robert Rose Jr. says, hello today, Bird of Prey, Mummo Prey, and the Sassy. Good to be here. Good to see you, Robert. Carlos says, skip O Prey. If I skipped a one that says at Bird of Prey 5, I apologize. Carlos says, who would have thought that cells get bored too? Yes. That's the reason people die. Your cells just get bored of living. That's why you need the cellular regeneration and entertainment chamber. Anyway, it's a shame that they let a random Federation citizen apparently do business with the Dominion right before a war was about to break out. I wonder if he ever got back behind Federation lines, or if he was taken by the Dominion and is being forced to work in the Gamma Quadrant, trying to bring eternal life to the Vorta. Who knows? I'm sure there's been a book or something following up on that episode. Anyway, with that, yes, on with the show, says Carlo. So head on over to the screening room, birdofprey5.com/SR. I'm going to count down, and then we're going to start watching the episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to get a screenshot on the main view screen every 10 seconds or so. If you're watching in the screening room, you'll get full audio and video. And if you've got your own copy, be ready to hit play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, load. We have ignition. We have playback. And we've got Quark and Morn at the bar. And Quark runs and welcomes Worf and Dax and Kira to the bar. They're saying it's a little quiet in here. And Quark says, no, you just beat the rush. So he's taking their orders. And then, this loud noise goes off. He's like, oh, what's that? He's like, oh, that's just his nephew and Chief O'Brien fixing some conduits. So Worf suggests they go to the Klingon restaurant. And Dax says it would be quieter, which is ironic that the Klingon restaurant would be quieter. So Quark mourns over the loss of his lunch order. And so Nog is coming out and he says, when are you going to be done? He says, when the conduit's repaired and brought up to safety specs. And Nog needs 2 root beers. And Quark's ears are hurting because of just how loud the tools they're using are. Hyperspanner. Nog gives Chief O'Brien a hyperspanner. Charlie Qapla? I don't know what he said. Some type of coupler. Nog gives it to him. Now Nog anticipates. He says, how did you know? How did you know I was going to ask for a phase decompiler? He's paying attention. And he says, good work, cadet. And he says, his father says he could learn a lot from Chief O'Brien. Says he can fix anything. And Chief O'Brien says he's an engineer. He can do anything. And then Chief O'Brien says, good as new. And then, of course, the plasma distribution blows up in his face. I mean, it doesn't blow up. It pops. And a whole bunch of gas comes out. So basically, O'Brien's saying that this piece can't be replicated. The only way to get it is from Cardassians. He says, well, they could send a salvage team to the abandoned Cardassian station. And Cisco says, oh, Empok Nor. And O'Brien says, yes, the same design as this station. And there's, it says the same systems as this station. And Cisco's like, what about the Jem'Hadar? And O'Brien says there hasn't been any Jem'Hadar movement in that sector for months. They seem to have pulled out. And Odo says the problem is that Cardassians leave booby traps behind. And so he says, then you better bring a Cardassian with you. And next scene is Garak is coming with him. So O'Brien says he's glad that Garak is coming with him. And Garak has a problem with that. He says he can't deal with this. Everybody's starting to trust him. Soon people are going to start inviting him to their homes for dinner. O'Brien says, well, if it makes you feel better, I'll never do that. He says disarming Cardassian booby traps is his least favorite mission. And now some of the engineers who are going heard about the booby traps. He says it's better than go working on the waste extraction system. He says, how often do engineers get to wear phasers? And the actual security personnel saying the only thing they'll be using their phaser for is shooting voles. For how long that station's been abandoned. They're going to be hungry. And now Cadet Nog is reporting for duty, carrying a huge rifle. O'Brien welcomes him aboard. He says, it's a privilege to be here, sir. And O'Brien says, you've earned it, but one more, sir, and I'm going to throw you off. He says, very well, sir, Chief. That's it. Robert Rose says, could you post the link to watch DS9? Yes. Dun, 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun dun. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Robert Rose says the audio is barely audible, Bird of Prey. I can't watch it because I can't hear it. There is a volume control in the there's a volume control in the screening room. If you bring your mouse over the video, you'll see a speaker icon. Make sure you've got it all the way high, all the way to the right. And if you need to raise your overall system volume, you can raise your system volume and lower your YouTube volume in your browser. But it should be audible. Most people have no problem. So, Garak is trying to teach Nog a Cardassian board game. And he wants to see if O'Brien wants to play this game against him. She's like, he'd like to play against the hero of Sector 3. He took out an entire regiment of Cardassians. Because if you play with half that, you'd be quite a match. He says, Brian says he's not a soldier anymore. He's an engineer. He says, so when you do and Dr. Bashir go into the holosuite as fighter pilots and ancient battles, you're not doing it as a battle. He said, it's a game, it's for fun. And Garak says, so is coachry. And he'd love nothing more than to play against a man like O'Brien. O'Brien says, some other time. So this is a little weird. The chief has a wish list, must-haves, could uses, and low priority stuff. He says this is a salvage operation, not an opportunity to indulge his collection because he has Cardassian insignias and badges on the list. But that's not how you would split up the list. He's going to give the high priority items to one team, the medium priority items to a second team, and the low priority items to a third team. And for a show that's always written so smart, that's an incredibly stupid way to write it. Obviously, you give the must-have items equally to each team, and then the medium items to each team, and then the low items to each team, and you give those out as people finish. So if one team has to take all their time to finish a must-have item, that's fine. If another team can do 2 must-have items, great. But you don't separate it by team. That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't even begin working on the low priority items until the high priority items and the medium priority items are completely finished. But that's really the only big problem I have with this episode. Carlos is Bird of Prey. In 3 years' time, are you going to do TOS Wednesday? You know, Carlo, maybe, but I always figured after DS9 I would go to Enterprise. But who knows? Who knows? And it's not going to be 3 years. We've really only got 1 year left till we finish DS9. Maybe a year and a half, less than a year and a half, less than 18 months till we finish DS9. Like 14 months. And then we'll see. Maybe somebody will already be doing Enterprise by then. We might do Voyager, we might do Enterprise, we might do TOS. Maybe we'll do both. I don't know. So we have some Cardassians waking up. Garak has disabled the booby traps, and here's the breakup of the team. And you see O'Brien's going to do the must-haves. He's given somebody else can do the could use. Yeah, it doesn't work. And the would be nices. And he says, if you see something that's not right, don't touch it. Call for backup. So Nog and another guy are going with O'Brien. Garak is separated with someone else. Robert Rose says, I'm on a mobile device only. The Google Pixel 4a 5G, which is a very loud phone with stereo speakers, and the audio isn't right. I'm sorry to hear that, Robert. Nothing. Unfortunately, I really can't do anything about it. If you have, Netflix or something, or a Paramount Plus or Hulu or Amazon Prime Video, you can stream the episode from one of those sources, of course. I can tell you where we are in the episode if you get it pulled up. And of course, the screenshots will give you more or less where we are. There's no way to turn the volume up in the screening room. You're literally just watching a MP4 file that your computer is controlling the volume to. There's no master volume. One of the stasis units, one of the Cardassians is already dead. Wow, he decayed quickly. Regimental badge. 3rd Battalion, 1st Order, says Garak. Is this going to make Pechetti's day? He says if those tubes have been activated, they're empty. There's 2 empty tubes. Robert Rose says Professor Brainy Specs has the exact same kind of phone. He can attest to its audio capabilities. I believe you. I believe you. It might just be the phone's not going to be a good candidate for using the screening room. But there's no other option. The runabout has disconnected from the station and blew up. That is not a good sign. They are now trapped That's basically the Cardassians saying, now yous can't leave. So the former occupants of the chambers are up and about. There's 2 Cardassian soldiers from 3rd Battalion loose on the station. Death to all is their motto. He said, why would the Cardassians abandon the station and leave behind soldiers in stasis tubes? And the woman says, to guard it. It was probably rigged to wake them up as soon as somebody came aboard. O'Brien says they're out there somewhere, and considering what they did to the runabout, they're not too friendly. She said maybe they're just not friendly because we didn't introduce ourselves. And now all their equipment's not working. There's a dampening field set up. No sensors. And the blue guy says we should call for help. They said, how? The subspace transceiver was pulled out when the Cardassians evacuated. They could modify the field coils to send a series of covalent pulses. They could tap out an SOS. The pulses have to be strong enough to reach DS9. They have to boost power. And he tells Pechetti to go down to the habitat ring and sends 2 people with him. And now tells somebody else to realign the magnetic flow field. And Nog and Garak are with O'Brien because he can't die. We're going to go with the main cast. The rest of you go off with people we've never seen before. Because some of you are not coming back. Carlos was, and this is the moment he effed up. Eastland's insignias and badges are guaranteed to be sabotaged if Cardassian. Cinnabon says, why wouldn't they bring a medical person with them? Yeah, it does seem like you would bring at least a medic. All right, it doesn't have to be Bashir. They could bring a doctor with them. John DeMarco says medical personnel would be redundant. All red shirts are going to die, and all main characters will survive. I suppose. One might also say that all engineers are also doctors, as we saw in Discovery. Carlos has some good, powerful lines in this episode. Eastland says, so I love it. My security system has a dampening field that messes up any weapon, more complex than a blunt wooden stick. Robert Rose, is that the same actor who played Commander Tucker on Enterprise? The human? I don't think that guy is the same. I don't know about the Cardassian. They're counting down silently. I'm glad they're better at this than I am at Call of Duty. Now he's second guessing himself, saying maybe he did reactivate the turbo lift without realizing it. What are the chances? Robert Rose says, yes, the human. No, that's not Tucker. Although I could hear the voice. Whoops. Attacked into the wall. Pechetti. Oh no. Another Cardassian. The people with the hardest pronounced names are dying first. Nog has a sigh of relief. O'Brien makes a bad discovery. Looks like he's got 2 dead engineers. Well, no more splitting up now. O'Brien says, we're going to get out of here. You can count on that. But you've got to stay focused. Bruschetti's almost done. He'll finish. But he sends Nog back to the cargo bay. Well, he's still splitting them up. The guy's like, you're going to split up. And he's like, O'Brien's like, we have to. If we don't send out a signal, we're never going to get off the station. And the blue guy is a little concerned. Says, what if I send Garak with you too? Will that make you feel better? Oh, Garak is like, I'm flattered, but he has his own plans. He says he doesn't intend to stand around to be killed, waiting to be killed. He's going after 2 Cardassians, and he's going to neutralize them. All this whining is giving him a headache. And one of the guys aims the gun at Garak. Says, you're going to have more than a headache if you don't do what the chief wants. Garak's like, you're waiting to kill me. You're dying to kill a Cardassian, any Cardassian. And O'Brien says, let him go. Because if he can neutralize the Cardassians, let him try. And now he's saying, that's the spirit. Why don't you come with me, Chief? Come kill a few Cardies like good old times. Don't you want to avenge the deaths? And O'Brien's like, no, he just wants to get everyone home. Said the hero of Sitlik 3 is still inside there somewhere. And he says, Garak, if you're going to go, go. And he tells Nog to go with the other 2. And he says, no, it's okay, Chief. He can stay with you. For some reason, knowing Garak's going after Cardassians makes him feel better. Yeah, in theory, they won't have time to come after you. Garak is getting angry. Everything he puts in the computer is access denied. He just keeps saying it out loud for the benefit of the audience or for the benefit of the Cardassians that are trying to figure out what he's doing. Professor Brainy Speck says Qapla. Qapla, Professor. Carlos is in Karoga. The harder your name is to say, the quicker you die. They're searching. They're looking. Garak was hiding in the chamber. Ooh, it felt good to kill. So Nog is asking why does O'Brien keep Garak keep bringing up Setlik 3, and he's like, he was a soldier. He did a lot of killing, says Garak. He says, maybe you like to kill. He brought back, he killed one of the soldiers. One down, one to go, says Garak. He also took a tissue sample. It seems the unfortunate soul had given a massive dose of psychotropic drugs. He's not sure, but it certainly wasn't to make him amicable. It seems to be amplify his xenophobic tendencies. He says, why did they attack Garak? He said, maybe an experiment that went wrong. They were left in stasis. And Garak says, once he sets his mind to a task, he hates to leave it unfinished. And O'Brien says, Garak looks different. Something's wrong with Garak. He says he once bought a suit from Garak. The sleeve was a little long. If he had known he was so dangerous, he never would have complained. Forza Jersey says, Qapla, Bird of Prey, how are you feeling? And Cardinalson says, hail, Bird of Prey, hail, guys. I've had better days in recent weeks. I'm not feeling terrible, but I'm not feeling great. Apparently, Garak overheard that whole conversation. Awkward. Qapla, Lord Thoth. And Garak shoots a man in the back. The safest way to shoot a man. He says, it's a shame. And the worst part, this isn't even a coil spanner. Oh, and Garak stabs him. It's a flux coupler. Oh, Garak went dark. He just needs to kill. Should be Deep Space Nine, featuring Garak with the bloodlust. O'Brien to Boq'ta. Boq'ta, come in. Amaro. Oh, your names are too hard to say. You've been written out of the script. He's out there. Garak. Garak stabbed him. He's lived just long enough to tell that to O'Brien. Poor Nog. Why would Garak do this, Chief? Nog, it's about time you learned a little something. Cardassians are not nice people. Carlo says, Dr. Bashir says, I don't understand it, Garak. There's no trace of the drug in your system. And Garak says, that's strange indeed, Doctor, as he walks off. So Brian's saying he must have been exposed to the drug. Is the only explanation. He should have seen it earlier. Boy, he insisted on going after the Cardassians. He's coming after the rest of us, isn't he? Says Nog. Yes, says O'Brien. And Nog says, maybe we can reason with them. As you can see what he did to the others. Nog says, we have to finish with the deflector grid. We have to get a signal. And O'Brien says he knows what we're trying to do. He'll stop us. And Nog says, we got to try. O'Brien says, no. We've already lost 4 crewmen sending out that signal. O'Brien says, you don't wait for the enemy to come to you. You go to him. He says, come on, we're going after Garak. So Nog says, you mean to kill him? O'Brien says, if that's what it takes, yes. I find it funny that they always show us Empok Nor on its side, like there's a difference, like that there's a sideways in space. Garak just found a Pultra board. It'd be what a perfect metaphor it is for their present situation. 2 players, 2 strategies, 2 minds. So Garak says to Nog, they'll split up. They'll go through ops through 2 corridors. Garak's still talking. Oh, there's a force field. Garak picks up Nog. He looks, he's got a phaser up to Nog. He says he captured his last piece, Chief. If you want it back, you're going to have to come take it. Dun, 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 dun. O'Brien knocks over the game board. Should have phasered it. So Brian's trying to reason with him. Tell him it's the drug. It's fighting him. He's got to fight it. Garak says it's the most exciting game he's played in years. O'Brien says, not a game. Says, yes, it is. He just wants his crewmen back. Says, no, admit it, you're a killer. You're a predator, just like Ducat. Just like Garak. Says, I'm nothing like you. Says, you enjoyed killing the Cardassians, didn't you? Blood for blood. So they're going to meet on the promenade with no weapons. And he tells Nog he has no idea how it is to keep from pulling the trigger, but he needs Nog alive. If only there was a non-kill setting. Brian's looking for them. Oh no! They're hanging. Brian's looking. Light on, light off. Look some more. I'll be right back. So Garak was disappointed, but O'Brien came up with some type of improvised explosive and knocked Garak out. He had hoped to see a bloodlust in O'Brien's eyes, but he said, oh, maybe he isn't a soldier anymore. He's checking on Garak. He didn't know if he was dead or not. Nog asks if he's dead. O'Brien says, no, I didn't. He's just going to have one hell of a headache. Carlo says he's a space engineer. Now they're back on DS9. Bashir says it should be out of his system soon. He's like, it can't be. It doesn't look like the same man who attacked us. And Bashir said, in a way, he's not. The drug brought out the worst in him. He wasn't in control of his actions. In other words, no long-term repercussions. Next week, everybody can go back to being friends. Not even next week. They'll apologize before the episode's over. O'Brien says they salvaged the plasma manifold. It's being installed right now. It didn't go as any of us expected. But, you know, there's going to be an inquest. So he says, Chief, I was hoping to ask a favor. And he says, don't worry. He said, no, it's not about that. He'd like the chief to express his deepest regrets to Amaro's wife. He'd tell her himself, but he's not sure that he'd be welcome. It says, Julian says a blast broke a couple of ribs. Says, yeah, it could have been worse. If he had been any closer, it would have killed him. And O'Brien says, don't take this the wrong way, but that was the idea. And Garak says he understands. And that's it. See you around. We'll be back to normal by next week. Carlos says, I think my ending would have been better. John DeMargo says, yes. The old blow up the phaser with the tricorder trick. Kirk Fu, says Carlo. Carlos says, I won't shot an unarmed man, but he won't shoot Nog, an unarmed man tied up. Yes. And John DeMarco says they're using the Kurogan definition for no weapons because they each brought a weapon. In fact, Miles brought two. Carlos, they bet Nog peed his pants. It must have been self-cleaning material. Carlos's great episode. Damn dyslexia. No problem, Carlo. Yeah, it was a good episode. So next week is in the cards. And then the week after that is the season finale and the beginning of the Dominion War. So that's 2 weeks from today. Next week in the cards. I hope to see you guys there. Tomorrow, I plan to put out another Lower Decks episode review sometime. I'm not exactly sure when. Hopefully sometime before noon. But it comes out when it comes out. I don't plan on streaming, but if I do stream, it will be probably won't be until later, and it will definitely be on the Bird of Prey 5X channel. Well, if I've already put out the video, it'll be on the Bird of Prey 5X channel. So make sure you are subscribed to the Bird of Prey 5X channel. You can get there at birdoprey5.com. And until next time, guys, have a great day. I will see you later. Qapla all. But wait, there's more. The video might be over, but there's more fun to be had. First, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have clicked that bell icon to get notifications of new videos in your YouTube feed. Share this video on social media to help this channel fight the algorithm that favors big media. Also check out www.birdoprey5.com for links to my other channels, various social media accounts, merch store, Dear Bop, affiliate links, and all your Birdo Prey 5 needs. At the main Birdo Prey 5 YouTube channel, you can find all sorts of live streams and unlisted videos, YouTube membership options, and a community section with polls and updates on the channel. On the secondary channel, Birdo Prey 5X, you can find overflow content that doesn't always make the main channel. Subscribe to both channels, please. Thanks for watching. Remember, I stream almost every day. This is Birdo Prey 5 saying goodbye, world. Until next time. P.S. Hail Sassy, hail Charlie, and of course, hail Kuroga.